Well, hello and welcome, and hello, buenas noches a todos. Thank you for joining me on this extremely special, timely, prescient edition of Un Poco Mas, the show where we try to give you just a little bit more. I'm sorry, my voice is not there, guys. I've been really not feeling well, trying to work hard. People say they work hard, they play hard. I just work hard. I'm a big boring third. I like a bowl of sausage every now and again, maybe a cheesesteak, a hoagie, something along those lines, a nice juicy steak, say a double cheeseburger, something in there. Maybe a steak salad. You guys ever heard of a steak salad? That's the kind of thing I put on my menu 8 days a week. Anyway, guys, I'm not actually Polish. I just sometimes enjoy employing a bit of a Polish accent. Probably picked up as a small child from the Bears. Let's be honest, I wasn't a small child. I'm old as shit. Anyway, guys, good morning, welcome, and hello. It's kind of evening. It's like midnight where I am, but anyway, I got to get some sleep. I got to get some rest before I, just drop dead of exhaustion. But anyway, I don't know what I'm rambling about. I haven't had enough sleep in general, but I want to talk, of course, about SMCI. The more I analyze this stock, the more I'm convinced that it's about to make a huge move to the upside. I mean, the value was just depressed to an extent that I think is ridiculous. I think, what's really important for everyone to remember is, um, and you can see what the stock's doing overnight. It's like sitting about $57, which isn't really expected whenever this sort of overnight thing. It's basically only buyers, kind of up, the angry masturbators are just up all night. They can't sleep. They're just buying shares. Buy, buy, buy. Even Kramer, the bald prophet, he's like, SMCI is back and I find it amazing. What do you find amazing? That you're still bald? Your mustache? Your, rolled up white dress shirt and you just making a bunch of horrible calls for the charitable trust? What's so amazing about it? It's amazing. It's like the publicity fucking show on the Kroll show. Like, it's amazing. Anyway, I'm going a bit far afield, but the point I want to make is that everyone is now jumping on the bandwagon. This is the stock of the year. And when you see this kind of momentum, heavy shorting to step on the rally. And it went down exactly 15% off the high. It was like 66 down to where it is right now. So um, the stock is actually in incredibly good shape, in my opinion, in terms of the technicals. Now, if you look at this little flag it's building in the short term, this move is 15% down from this high at like 66 down to where we sit right now in just, 2 trading days. That's exactly the kind of healthy pullback you want to see, but you want to see it not on dumping, but on this type of shorting because it just ends up winding the next move, the next leg up just winds up even tighter and ends up being bigger. And everybody's, a lot of the technical people are throwing out, crazy numbers on this stock, 350. I just heard, some of these, really smart, Russian guys that do technical analysis. You guys probably follow some of them. I mean, they're throwing out some big numbers. I'm personally looking for the stock to break down 71 and then, possibly settle and get rejected at 89. I think it definitely eventually moves to all-time highs if they can deliver. Now, we're all, I'm assuming that, they're actually going to file, tomorrow or at the latest on Tuesday. A lot of people are starting to think they're going to ask for another extension. There's going to be some kind of appeal. Other people think they're just going to, take the company private. They're going to take the company to the pink sheets, just, be delisted, and think that has a lot of advantages for them from like a regulatory standpoint, a growth standpoint, a money raising standpoint. If they were going to do that, they probably already told, the note holders that, but that would allow them to cash in the notes if they wanted to, but it wouldn't force them to. It would be kind of at their option. Um, Anyway, another interesting factor is, the stock's traded over 100 million shares now 8 days in a row, and that hasn't happened since the massive move up. So this to me is just very healthy move, and you see very first day, the stock breaks 55 back here on the 18th. It moves up over 60, and then it is rejected. It finds support at this exact point again. It comes all the way down. It breaks down a little bit below here, to 54, just kind of finding that trend line again, that short-term line. Breaks down below that again here, but again, finding support at this same point it has 3 times in a row. The pullback looks very formulaic. Okay, and it's on very, very heavy shorting. You see this again basically every single day. Now, it says they return some shares. That really doesn't mean anything. What matters is how many, shares they sold short versus how many shares they bought back. And so if you look at the actual short selling the last 4 days, 58%, 65%, 58%, and 60%. This is very, very high percentages on very, very high volume. So you have to kind of actually multiply those two together to get an idea how many shares they're selling short relative to other days. Now, they let the stock run up a few days here back in the 30s, I guess that was February 14, 13, and 12. And then you see, back in the 30s down here, it bumps up significantly on January 31st. And guys, again, forgive me if I'm a little bit foggy here, but just going on very little sleep. Probably the last few months, I'm just not feeling very well. Haven't had any coffee today. Very little coffee, like 1 cup. So I just feel like a huge turd. And this was already high. Look at the official reports. Look at what happens. Look how far behind like Ortex is. They had this at like 17. And then when they file the official report, which is, just covers through the end of January, this jumps all the way up to 92 million. So, it's a big change. It's an 18%, or 19% increase from previous. Now, what's happened since then? They're just desperately trying to step on this rally. Mid-30s is kind of neutral. If anything, there's probably some shorting going on. 40s is definitely shorting. 50s, high 50s is heavy shorting. 60s is just off the charts, stop the rally at all costs type of shorting. But you see the market gods keep, they're loaning them these shares at no cost. The usual suspects are right in the stock. Look at the types like, look at like Susquehanna. They lowered their price target on the stock to $15 and a sell back on, just on February 12. But, last they show, they're actually one of the largest shareholders in the stock. So are they trying to accumulate as low as possible? Maybe in the next filing, it'll show that they've sold out of a lot of their position. But that's just the kind of thing you see a lot on Wall Street. And, really shouldn't surprise you, hopefully, at this point. Because, it's pretty... A lot of people, too, are talking about Max Payne, who I just don't think understand these numbers. Max Payne 45, to me, does not imply that it's going to go down. The calls for next week cost a ton. I think at least short term, they're expecting, more buying pressure in the morning. Again, 8 days in a row, you had the one day like 300 million, and that day they were shorting, 65% on that ratio. But like, do you know exactly what that ratio means? I don't, but I can tell relative what's happening. And they just seem desperate to step on the stock. If you basically read one article that I think is very instructive, another thing people are saying, hey, it's just oversold, it has to go down. I don't think those people really understand momentum and how it works. And like people like me that are carrying that like Palantir is overvalued multiple wise, the market doesn't care. A lot of these technical guys are looking at a setup that happened a few years ago for Tesla, a recent setup for a stock like Palantir. I've been comparing it to SoFi, in terms of who's in the stock, how the relationship between borrowing and shorting sets up, um, how you start to see the more advanced shorts who make the most money, the biggest ones, how they start to change their position and go long. All these pieces start to add up, and then you look at sort of fundamental catalysts that run into the chart on these wedges, and you put the pieces together and you think the stock is going to make a major move up, and very, very quickly, because that's how they get, that's how they do this, is like shock and awe. That's how Vanguard, BlackRock, Susquehanna, Geode, State Street, these biggest traders in the world, that's how they take stocks up. Um, but this is from a couple days ago, February 19, I guess. Supermicro stock is most overbought in a year. Here's why that's bullish. There's this guy on YouTube that's always talking about price pays. Like, if the stock is going up and it's just extremely bullish, showing a lot of strength on a lot of volume, that's when you want to get on that train, because, price moving up is what pays you as an investor. And, that's true if you're in this stock short term, but I just think fundamentally pricing this stock at less than 1x forward sales, and you say, okay, even if they miss by 15%, that's about where the market cap would be, 34 billion, because they're predicting 40 billion. Think, well, how can he say he's going to capture, 30% of these contracts? Because I think a lot of it is they already know. I think they're just waiting for this, the 700 million to actually get this stuff off the ground. Pay Jensen, the guy needs, a new gross of leather jackets and some lifts in his shoes or whatever. I don't know. But they said as much, they've been cash constrained, which is just a shame for a company growing like this, who really, shouldn't be cash constrained in this industry. Should be just throwing money at them like a, circus monkey chucking feces at me. You guys have circus nightmares? I do. Let's see. Yeah, no, clap my dog. That's what we're thinking. Yeah, Tim. No, it's been a white knuckle ride here. It's been very. Yeah, you guys, fundamentally looking at the growth of this stock, like, you're looking at top line growth 3 years in a row, one over 100%, then 54%, then they're thinking conservatively 60%. I mean, those type of multiples, you'd think 5x forward sales would be very conservative, but then you think, okay, it's a relatively low margin business. Like, they're hoping to take their margins from like 12 to 17, and that'll be like, a high water mark for their margins. But seriously, if they can achieve this 40 billion in sales next year and raise margins even to 13, 14%, I mean, the EPS is going to move up quite dramatically. So I think any way you slice it, the stock's going to be, fundamentally undervalued. So Super Micro shares continued their rocket higher on Wednesday. I remember this a few days ago. But the idea is very much sound, in the sense that when this stock gets overbought, it continues to make a big move up. Some stocks just play that way with momentum. Other stocks, tend to bounce off these sort of RSI limitations, but Supermicro does the opposite. So the historic rally comes with its technical consequences. Anytime RSI gets above 70, it's considered overbought. Being overbought's basically rallied high and fast. Sorry, guys, I'm just out of breath and not feeling very well. But on Wednesday, climbed to 80. The RSI, remember, it of course has come down just a bit. So it actually sold off in 2 days, 15%. So this is kind of really predictable, the stuff you want to see, this type of 15% retracement. It's very nice. You think it's going to leg up even more than it went up last time. And quite frankly, this chart basically shows the story. Before this huge move, this was basically considered overbought, but it just made this huge move up anyway. And it basically short squeezed. I mean, other people have analyzed this, more accurately than I did, but it's a lot of things together. It's momentum, volume, institutions pushing, shorts being caught off guard and out of position and sort of unaware of the fundamental environment they find themselves in, and just sort of putting their algos on autopilot and really not paying attention, I think, to the world around them. I think, again, that's the situation here. I mean, if you look at these days they were shorting, January 31st through February 10th, take a look at, where the stock was during those times. I mean, you're talking about they started shorting heavily right here on a day the stock was trading, almost exclusively below $30. And I mean, the high was $30.76 and the volume was low. So you're not fooling anybody there. And then they're shorting again the next day. I mean, this is in the mid 20s. And they haven't covered anything since. So are these guys in these Armani suits with these coke habits, are they geniuses? Or are they just somebody's fucking nephew? Are you a genius to get into Yale and work for these firms and just lose other people's money? Do huge, glorious lines of Peruvian wham wham? Where your wife back in Connecticut wonders where the hell you are? Is that what dreams are made of, folks? Is that what this has come down to? Does this make any sense? Does any of this make any sense? Is this real life, guys? Oh, let's see. Who the hell's here? The great Clap My Dog. Yeah, I'd love to do it. I know I keep saying I'm going to do a Neo video. The stock is like, it's so... I just keep buying more Neo on these dips. Like, I mean, I hesitate to say it, but like 450 doesn't seem attractive to me because they just keep pushing it back down to 4. It's just riding this little, horse shit, fairy dust, ring around the posy channel from 4 to 450. And, they're not selling a lot of vehicles. The Onvo, 90 that they're about to, release, they've been tickling our balls with that thing. Looks very, very exciting. But anyway, I'm going to do a Neo video, but it's just, when they're pushing these stocks and there's just not much to say. William Lee, he has a long-term outlook, and I have a long-term outlook as an investor. I know it doesn't seem like that from a lot of my videos, but the point is, guys, they were shorting the hell out of the stock. Remember when I kept saying the exact same thing for those of you who watch this channel for a while about, so I'm like, they were shorting it heavily from 680 to 720. There's nothing they can do. They should have covered when they had the thing paused at 10. Take your lumps, take your losses. Admit they're now they're trying to push it down and cover at 14, which is double the price they short at. They're just getting crushed, and they're paying borrowing fees the whole time. There's multiple articles you can read online about how, SMCI shorts just this year have lost billions of dollars. And I mean, that's okay because, again, it's not their money. They don't care. Like, oh, we made a bad trade. Whatever, boss. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Here's your bonus. We'll see you at the holidays. Anyway, no, guys. I'm sure these guys all, I'm sure they're good people, but it's just, again, I don't understand. I guess they just assume it's going to be delisted. They're assuming everybody's going to go to... They just read the report. And they're like, okay, they listen to Kramer's logic. They're like, any, accounting irregularities, it's a sell. It's all fraud. And then you look at the real deal, and, these guys are the leaders in liquid cooling. And I'm like, the market is forward-looking. The market is forward-looking. Look at the actual number in front of you. What they just told you in public. 40 billion conservatively next fiscal year, which starts July 1st for them. So they have to know, if they're talking about revenues that start, recognition in just really 5 months, they have to have those deals lined up. Those data centers, those contracts, those build-outs. That has to all be in the works. That's not the kind of thing that you do with less than 6 months of planning. You think Uncle Chuckie's, talking out his ass like Ace Ventura, asking you a few questions? No. No, I say. Nay. All right, Wilbur? What's up, Ben? Sorry, my eyes are aging like the rest of me. Poorly. What kind of adventure do you think the next couple of weeks will be in for us? The 10K is coming. There's no doubt. It's just the question is if it's bad, what they're going to latch onto is there's going to be, revisions. My thing is okay, the market's forward looking, 40 billion conservatively. There'll be explosive growth in EPS correspondingly, I would certainly hope. So, does the market really care if they have to revise, 2002 from 4 billion to 3.99 billion and, EPS in 2002 from whatever it was, like say it was 50 cents, so they have to revise it down to 48 cents. If as long as the future is the future, that's what the market cares about. As long as it's resolved, as long as it's behind them, they pay a fine, there's no serious, criminality with the executives, no serious criminality. Remember those words when you promised to save a bunch of fucking trees, Uncle Chuckie. Don't promise to save the trees and just make a bunch of wine and get all drunk. Buy blue blazers with the savings. It's not what you do. You save the trees, you plant the tree, you buy the carbon credit, whatever the fuck. It's like, well, I didn't actually plant the trees, but I gave, Al Gore some money for carbon credits. Well, you suck. I know. Oh, guys, it's Un Poco Moss, is it not? It's Un Poco Moss, guys. They call me Little Danny Cornbread DiCarlo because I'm moist, doughy, and I crumble under pressure. They have been known to call me the tugboat because I'm short in stature, I pull more than my own weight, and I rarely venture far from my home port. They've been known to call me Crisco because I'm a little bit fat in the can. They've been known to call me egg salad from time to time because I'm mixed up, and by the end of the day, I tend to smell a little bit off unless I'm kept refrigerated, folks. Guys, yeah, don't forget to tip your waitresses. And yes, the drinks are watered down, and there is a 4-drink. No, guys, there's no minimum here. Who the hell's here? Kim, Sean, who are you people? I don't even know half you people. Ben, Caton? Who the hell are these people? Let's hope this works out. I think the odds they file today are very, very high. I mean, it's either going to be today or it's going to be pre-market tomorrow when it comes out. I think, today they would be communicating back and forth with the people at the NASDAQ. The people at the NASDAQ, they're very reasonable people. Oh, yeah, my people at the NASDAQ. Jimmy was going to have a problem with his union people down at the NASDAQ. Paulie was going to lean on him. Guys, does anybody know how I get one of them no-show jobs? Problem is the mafia is just not ingrained in construction out here. There's no no-show jobs for fat people where I can just sit around eating like spiraled sausages on rolls, a lawn chair, like an old Lincoln, just getting paid. A nice bowling shirt, unbuttoned little white shirt. Breaking balls with the guys. Yeah, I know I'm recounting scenes out of The Sopranos. I get all my stuff from pop culture. Not a lurker. I'm not from Jersey. No, guys. Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. Thank you for tuning in to Un Poco Moss, show where we, feebly attempt to give you just a little bit more from time to time. But, like, when are you going to come on? Do you have, like, a regular time you're going to come on? Like, could I put it on my schedule? What is this, a fucking TV guide? No. Just come on whenever I come on. Is there any way you could just notify me in advance on your social media? Like, I don't have social media. No. Just watch it later. Whatever. Watch the returd. It's a terrible show anyway. There's plenty of better people to be watching. I've seen a lot of good SMCI content. Anyway, I totally forgot what I was talking about. I guess we can go through, a little bit more of this article. But this is just, if you're going to read one, I would read it. Because it talks about what happens with this stock when the RSA goes high. On another bright note, and this is really, really important, closed above its 200-day moving average. And you can see that here on the chart, if you zoom out, like the stock just passed not only the 150-day moving average, I think that's a 50-day down here, but the 200-day moving average, it's also holding nicely. I mean, if you look at these lows, it's not making like, super lower lows. The low here was 55. The next day, the low was 54. and then the next day the low was 55 again. So, I mean, come on. Come on, guys. That's like some textbook consolidation. I mean, it's just forming a nice little wedge, just leg up again. And why do I like 89? I mean, I just don't buy any of the price action below that. And I think they borrowed a ton of shares since the last data came out, reflecting the borrowing through January 31st. I mean, you have almost a full month there. I mean, hopefully we see some data, reflective of February 15, but that's not going to tell the whole story. That's going to show that, sort of milk toast, hemming and hawing type of borrowing, that sort of, on the fence, off the fence, am I in, am I out? That sort of tepid shorting that you saw that from January 31st to February 10th, and then you saw them let it run for a few days there, 11, 12, 13, 4, whatever it was. Then you saw those 4 days, just that insane volume, whatever it was, 190 million, 280 million. I don't want to look back. I'm so sick of talking about it. I'm so sick of myself. At what age did you guys just get completely sick of yourself? We're like, maybe I should buy a few stocks, maybe average into a few ETFs. You're like, dude, just shut up. Like, what does it even matter? Eat more salad, live for a while. You can enjoy some of the money. Yeah, just keep things in perspective, Like, well, what happens if I miss? Like, there's plenty of runners out there. I swear, if you pay attention, there's almost a new runner every single day. And even in, sort of mid-larger cap stocks that you've actually heard of, there's a new runner every single week. So don't worry about it if you miss one. It doesn't matter. Just don't lose a bunch of money being stupid. Money management. Money momentum. You guys remember that? Is anybody old enough to remember that Saturday Night Live sketch with Phil Hartman and his city change? Where they just make change for people? How do you guys actually make money? What's the volume of change that we make? Makes absolutely no sense, which is hilarious. He needed a 10 and 2 5s. Like, it's just so stupid. It's an entire financial institution based upon giving change. Anyway, guys, I don't really know what I was talking about. There's so many reasons I think this stock is just going to move up violently, and a lot of them are expressed in this article, and it just comes down to just momentum. And it comes down to the fact that, rallies really don't tend to die on 800 million shares traded in a row. And if you look at this short, I bet it's, 120 million shares at least. And what happens when market makers turn off the free lending? Or, you're talking about billions and billions of dollars being borrowed here. $6 billion worth of shares, $7 billion worth of shares. I saw cost to borrow max spike up to 7% just on Friday. And that never happens on this stock. Cost to borrow max has been like 1%. What happens if cost to borrow averages at 7% on, $6-7 billion? The stock starts to run. All of a sudden, you're talking about real money. You're talking about real pain. You're talking about margin calls hitting Connecticut and Miami right in the testicles. So again, I don't really know what I was talking about, but this is one of those days, guys. So if anybody else has anything to say, I'll read through a few comments, and then pre-market starts in a half hour, so we just have to see what happens. I think there's just going to be a ton of buying pressure into this announcement, because this valuation just doesn't make any sense. Okay, you don't want to give me 5x forward sales. I understand that because of the margins. You don't want to give me 4x sales because I'm fat. Okay, I take a little bit of an exception to that, because I have a bit of a slow metabolism and a penchant for cheeseburgers. I'm often feeling a bit peckish late in the afternoon, early in the evening, before bedtime, when I wake up. It's my cross to bear. But again, I keep forgetting what I'm talking about. I'm so tired. But yeah, it's... If you're looking at forward sales, okay, you don't want to give me 4x. It's like my t-shirt. You don't want to give me 4X, I gotta lose some weight, you give me 3X. You can't find 4X anywhere. You barely find 3X. The goal as a fat man is to get to a 2X. That's the type of sizes you can find at like mainstream places. Hey honey, I can finally buy the fattest shirt at Banana Republic. Congratulations. You know, it's so funny, like the things fat people do. I mean, it's probably not funny, maybe if you're fat. Like, I find it funny because you just gotta laugh. Like, see, it doesn't matter what you are. Maybe you're fat, maybe you're obnoxious, maybe you're just horrible. Maybe you're not funny, which I find even worse than being fat. Slightly, very slightly. You know, you don't find, I don't, have you, well, I was going to say you don't find a lot of fat serial killers, but like John Wayne Gacy was pretty chunky. So, anyway, we don't need to go there. Welcome and hello, guys. Hello and welcome. This isn't a macabre show about serial killers. It's a fun, light show about stocks. Sort of avant-garde. Our take on it, you know. We work hard, we play hard. Play by our own rules. March to the beat of our own drummer. People just say a bunch of stupid shit. Living your best life. Well, fuck you. Okay, fuck you. You take your best life and you go fuck yourself, because I'm on the struggle bus. I make horrible decisions. A lot of people are smart when they're young. They stay in shape, you know, they're staying healthy, they're doing things right. They're juicing. I don't mean steroids, but I mean like vegetable juice, carrot juice, juices. Fucking Jack LaLanne was towing a fucking rowboat across the San Francisco Bay for like his 90th birthday. I hurt myself getting out of bed to pee for the third time at night. Jan, bad sound, bad sound. Hello, hello and welcome, welcome and hello, hello and welcome, welcome and hello. Bad sound, bad sound, bad sound. Unique New York, unique New York. No, I don't know. Yeah, probably bad sound. My voice is bad. I'm just at home. I don't have any like good microphone or anything. It's just a shit show, Jan. As you know, this show's terrible. I'm glad you called me out. Glad you called me out. A lack of audio. I don't think I'm the best. I was like the electrician. He's like, and he's George Costanza's trying to steal the Frogger. He's like, "You're the best, Slippery Pete." Like, I don't think I'm the best. He's like, "You're very good." He's like, "Let's just say I'm good." He's like, "Okay, you're good. You're good." Like, this guy, even he's just very humble. He's like, just keep the expectations low, you know. Can I at least steal the battery? That guy from Fargo was in it. Guy's been in so many movies. I don't even know that guy's name. The blonde guy from Fargo. It's up like stuffing the guy in the wood chipper. All this for a little bit of money. Be ashamed of yourself. Dude, Margie took that dude out like a 38 snub nose. Full sprint across a lake. She's 8 months pregnant. Got Norm at home. Painting stamps. That's a responsibility. You're out shooting at people, putting a guy through a wood chipper. You got Norm at home. You're gonna make some eggs. Great movie, that, Fargo. Anyway, guys. This is the dad. Like, no, I forget the daughter's name. Like, no, Linda, no money. No, Linda, no money. And just Steve Buscemi is just incredulous. He just can't take it. Like, what? He just shoots the guy. Like, he's annoyed that he has to shoot him. Like, he's like, don't you understand how crime works? Like, I'm here, I'm with the gun. He's like, no, Gene, no money. It's like, what do you... That's the way we'd prefer to handle it, Jerry. Yeah, I'm the executive sales manager. Jerry Lundegaard. Well, if that's the way you want it, I'll just do a lot count. Well, geez. He's fleeing the interview. Then what was the storyline with that Asian guy from her high school? Like, makes a pass at her? Nakamoto? What the fuck was that? Oh, jeez, Margie. So weird. So where do the Coen brothers? I don't know. I don't know where they think of this stuff. Did they write that? Is that a book? What's going on? Anyway, guys, I'm not sure what that has to do with SMCI. Of course, nothing. The holes. Yeah, exactly. He's like, the outlet? He's like, outlet? He's like, the holes. EU market is definitely stupid. It's down 4% in the EU. But it's still up like, 1%, 89. So the algos even work on Robinhood at night now. Like, they figured that out pretty quickly. So it doesn't cost that much to control. It doesn't cost much to control at pre-market. So don't worry about if it's way down pre-market. Don't even worry about, if the stock sells off temporarily. Like, they can always short the stock. They can always dump the stock. Things like that have been known to happen. But it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. And the point is, they have to kill the volume. They have to kill all the buyers. I don't really see any reason, Vanguard, BlackRock, some of these companies need to push this back down, accumulate more. They already own a ton of the company. And I think insiders, have gotten their act together a little bit. And I think they're perfectly willing to buy shares. I think they know what they own. And I think it's telling that they didn't dump all their shares, when the stock ran up near 50 last time. And we haven't heard about them dumping in mass right now. I think, why didn't they dump a bunch of shares? Why didn't we see the filings of them selling a bunch of shares at, 60, 65, whatever it was? I don't know. I don't really know anything. But you guys know that. So as far as like the chart looking a little bit longer term, if you just look at this sort of downward dog, these big red candles, these big gaps down, coordinated with Hindenburg, clearly coordinated with hedge funds. I think they made a lot of mistakes where they shorted. I mean, Hindenburg and their guys, they know just how to play it. I mean, they probably covered right down here. They shorted up here or up here, wherever. They probably knew they were, had this in the works for some time. And then they cover, and they probably flip and go long because they know there's going to be at least a dead cat bounce, if not a fundamental resurgence. That's why I say it's just a dead cat bounce. Fuck you. It's a fundamental resurgence. Anyway, you talked about market makers about to flip the market. What does that actually mean? Just basically means they've been suppressing a stock with their algorithms at a certain level. In this stock, for instance, they were trading 34 to 30 down to 28. And they're going to, accumulated all the shares they want to accumulate, made money perhaps shorting off options premiums, doing all the ways you can hold money, pushing a stock just sideways and down. And then, like I said, the same companies that owned the most Palantir before it went up and probably sold at the top and now own a bit less, same companies that own the most SoFi, the same companies that own the most of almost any of these stocks that make these dramatic runs. Just look it up. It's all public information. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Geode. You see these others come in like FMR LLC, and then you see the smart shorts who have these straddles and strangles. You see like Jane Street. They start to move. Who are some of you guys know some of these other big shorts? So the names escape me. I need some sleep. I need less cold medicine. But anyway, you guys know who I'm talking. Just look it up. Just look at these companies that make these huge dramatic moves. And I don't think this stock, I don't think they ever meant to drop it much below right here. I think they got completely carried away. And I think retail bought a bunch of these shares down here, as they're wont to do these days. Just buy the extreme dips and throw caution to the wind because we're a bunch of idiots, and once in a while we get lucky. Anyway, What's up, DVD? How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for being here as usual. DVD, one of my regulars. I still have to do the Un Poco Moss Hall of Fame. I plan to do it. I had to, bunch of stuff happen, so I had a bunch of work to do and stuff. A lot of big dog work lately. So much work. Anyway, guys, I'm trying to make a stupid computer work. So I can read some of the crap. I just can't believe they will file today. I'm almost sure they're going to file today. I mean, why would they? They're going to file what they're going to file. If there's revisions, there's revisions. If there's pain, there's pain. I don't see why waiting another day, unless they're positioning somehow where insiders are, trying their hardest to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic while they, blow a bunch of smoke up our asses, which companies have been known to do. So don't let that shock you. Yep, to the moon and all that fun stuff. It's unfortunately doesn't usually happen like that. It usually trades sideways and then kicks you square in both testicles. Sorry about the sound again, Jan. Lo siento. I beg 1,000 pardons. Beg 1,000 pardons, sir. My audio is just not up to snuff tonight. What can I do? 6:30. I like 9 a.m. East. I like 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 Eastern. Just drop it right in the middle of the market. Just drop it like a stone and watch the ripples tip over the canoes of so many environmentalists. Say bird watching. We was just bird watching, and all of a sudden, a fat guy dropped a big stone. Capsized us, he did. Why does everybody have a British accent all of a sudden? I don't know. I could go back to Polish. I could punish you that way. Why am I such an idiot? My life would have been so much easier if I wasn't such an idiot. Could have got a straight job. Could have worked for one of the big four auditors. I'm good with numbers. 9:30 in Denmark. Fascinating, Jan. You should have your own show. No, I'm just joking. I know it's bad sound. You made that clear. Why would someone wait till the deadline to file an overdue 10K 2 days earlier? What's the last day? This is pathetic. I don't love it, but they said they're going to file by then. They have till then. I don't see that it's worse than filing a week ago. I mean, probably worse for my heart. I don't necessarily need an infarction. Not at my weight and height, body mass index, cholesterol, blood pressure, many other things. Anywho, sker. Been keying. Have I ever turned in a paper 2 weeks? I've never even started a paper 2 weeks before it was due. I could knock out a 50-pager in one night, no problemo. No, my brain doesn't start 2 weeks early, boss. My brain doesn't even engage. My brain ain't even working. Up here, I'm already gone. Let's see. 4:40 p.m. in Singapore. Awesome. Attila Torge giving us a little time check, a little Toper time check. Toper time check right now. 4:40 p.m. out in Singapore. That's 10 minutes past 4:30, 20 minutes to top the hour. It's 4:40 p.m. for all of you folks joining us from Singapore. It's 4:40 p.m. Excellent. Thank you. I mean, BDO probably would take every... I mean, here's the thing, DW. They let him... I think they had to have at least consulted BDO to a large degree on those quarterlies. And accounting is cumulative, so they had to at least get a good handle on the previous quarter, the previous year, in order to come out with those quarterlies. So I think what they're doing is they're... basically it's a compliance thing. I think it's maybe less the lawyers working with the auditors to try to resolve any mistakes they made in the past, and by mistakes, I mean intentional, fraudulent, malfeasance and nonsense, allegedly. I mean, I don't know anything. That's, again, quite apparent if you listen to the show. Which could not even be construed by the dumbest amongst you as financial advice. And you'd have to be even stupider to say that it's entertainment. So I'm just not sure what it is. It can't be categorized. I won't be put in a box. I just don't like to be painted with that broad a brush. How's your portfolio, Greg? I would say strong to quite strong. Yeah, nurse, that's great. I'd love to find the time to do some volunteer work. Will I get paid? So stupid. Yeah, me? No, I did not sell my SMCI stock. It could definitely be a sell the news event, but there's a lot of reasons I don't think it is. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a sell the news because they wouldn't be shorting this heavily. They'd want to let it run up and then short the top. Which you say, well, they were shorting the top from 66. I don't believe they're necessarily shorting, with that degree of, surgical precision. I think they're just doing everything they can to step on the rally, and they were trying to figure out something to do from there, essentially hoping they don't file or the filing's really bad. I think the filing's going to be just what the company's been telling us it's going to be. I don't think there's going to be any big revisions. I think the charges were trumped up. To a large degree, in the sense that, yes, there was, wrongdoing, and there were things that needed to be corrected, but they were not this sort of existential threat to the company. And like I said, the market is forward-looking. The $40 billion is conservative. Imagine that's conservative. Imagine they, push up and sell, $44 billion or something this next year. Top-line growth in the 70s. What are they going to say? Oh, 60% growth. Imagine if anything else like Palantir is growing. I know they have great margins, but any other, I don't care what it is. A company growing at 100, then 115 or whatever it was, then 54%, then 65% conservatively at the top line, at this scale, in this sector, should be trading at even if you don't want to give them 4, even if you don't want to give them 3, even if you give them 2x that conservative 40 billion figure, you'd be talking about a market cap of 80 billion. People say, but there's so much debt. There's just so much debt. They've just shown they can raise money at good terms. These are the same terms, and everybody who's saying, everybody's so worried about this guy on YouTube who's making these videos that says SMCI, they're not accounting for the dilution, the convertible notes. That's how convertible notes work with every single major publicly traded company that I've ever seen. Nobody puts the possible shares that would result from convertible note being, converted to shares. Nobody puts that in the share count several years in advance just because there's possible dilution out there. And then I ask you, look at the fact if they're going to dilute shareholders by 20%, if they're going to, and it's not going to be that much. They're not going to exercise all this stuff. And by the way, the company can buy these notes back. They're going to have more free cash flow coming. Margins are going to improve. The business is going to grow. And I hope they keep investing more back into the business because I am actually long-term on this company. I listen to Uncle Chuckie, and the guy's a freaky genius. And I don't believe anybody who says HP or Dell is better than them on liquid cooling. It's just bullshit. And everybody knows it. And when he came out and said, hey, this is going to be a huge growth sector and we're going to capture 30% of this market, I think he was being very conservative and playing his cards close to the vest. Because I think their market share is going to be that juicy part of that, dense Blackwell stuff, and let all these other clowns have the trailing edge. Let them play around with DeepSeek. Playing pocket pool. But anyway, guys, I have no idea what I'm talking about as per usual. I think they'll try to repeat last February. I mean, this is just what we're slowly to 115 days, literally the same. It sure looks like it. DW. And if they're starting from a higher point, it's kind of actually starting from a similar point. I guess I have to look back. But yeah, so it started, it's starting right here at, 28. So it's literally the exact same point this run started. I mean, this was just much more controlled in here, but they had to, just hammer this thing. And this move would be wound up much tighter from all this selling and shorting and borrowing. But this type of buying is just very much what you were seeing here. I mean, even the volume is kind of looking similar. You had this huge day, and then it pulls way back. But I mean, of course, this move was just like, biblical and quick. Anyway, that's about all I have, guys. I don't know what the hell I was talking about anyway, but we'll have to see. Again, don't worry too much about the pre-market. These market makers are just, you know, they're at, committing psychological warfare against, retarders. And they want you to sell when they want you to sell. And obviously they weren't really trying to suck people in the last trading session. I mean, they were trying to make it look as grim as possible. They could have given a little more false hope, but I don't think they were wanting to pull anybody in here. I think they only want sellers, and they sure don't want anybody buying these short-dated calls. That price went through the roof. It looked, despite Max paying me 45, a lot of that's dead money. If you kind of know how this stuff works, they're hedging against, outcomes that they already know are not going to happen. As long as they file and it's not a bloodbath, I think this thing goes way, way up. And I think this, little bit of consolidation we've seen here is very nice. And I think it's flirting with the 200-day moving average. And as long as they, like I said, as long as they file, they put this behind them, they probably have to pay some kind of fine. The market will look forward, and the market will see they just are in the perfect position. Their core competencies. They're in an industry that just is growing at an insane rate. And they're perfectly positioned to take advantage of this AI boom. And this cycle on this Blackwell is going to send their margins higher while their sales are exploding. So what does that do for your earnings, guys? You have to do the math. Anyway, I'm feeling like a horse that's been rode hard and put away wet. Again, they call me cornbread because I am moist, doughy, and I do, in fact, crumble under pressure. I would like to thank my moderators who, because they have some sort of common sense, they are, in fact, asleep and not here. But, of course, still want to thank them anyway. The great Not a Lurker and the great Alberto Berti Avilés, two of the best wrenches in the business. Would also have liked to thank, of course, the greatest person in the world, Princess J. I'd like to thank the greatest puppy in the world, QT. I would like to thank the Academy. I would like to thank, my plastic surgeon for making me so beautiful and youthful. I would like to thank my gardener for working on this beard. I'd like to thank my hat maker for making this ridiculous Poco Moss hat. Dell doesn't have these. Dell can kiss these nuts. They've been working on this liquid cooling stuff for so long. These cold plates. They're able to get more processors into less space, cooled more efficiently. It's just, SMCI's is better at this. If you read these tech guys, they know. They know Uncle Chuckie has the goods. Like that movie Jeremy Piven, Live, Sell Hard, or whatever, the goods. I don't know, man. How do you, what's going on? I don't want to get into my just grievances with Jeremy Piven. It's way too long a story. Anyway, guys, I'm always happy to see you put up a new video. Thank you, Megatron. One of the greatest receivers, of course, out there, representing the Dirty D. Megatron, Calvin Johnson, great to see you. I'm glad to have you aboard, good sir. So the news, if it is a sell to the news, where does it go price-wise? Well, are we going to have any support? Is there any support? I mean, to me, it depends what you mean by sell the news. I mean, it could definitely sell off down to like 48. I don't think it's going to go. I think this is going to be pretty good because, I mean, it depends. Is the news good? Is it a clean filing with the numbers they've already told us? In which case, I don't think they can sell the news because the guidance is just too fucking good. And stocks move based on guidance. And that's it. And at a certain point, like I always say, and like life has proven to me time and time again, the truth and the facts slap you across the face like a cold, hard salami after a night of ill-advised drinking. I know you guys have been there. Anyway, guys, show's been terrible. My apologies to the children for this show. It's awful. Anyway, guys. I don't know where it goes. It could go to 48. What about the? I mean, you know, had a little bit of consolidation kind of here between, 42 and 38. So you'd really think and hope it caught support here a few times. You really think it would hold 40 for sure. I mean, but, it could definitely go lower also. I mean, I'm always right, like half the time. And then, even then, it's coin flip. So, yeah, get some sleep, guys. Let's go. Thanks, DW. DW has ended the show. I appreciate that, guys. Thanks for watching. It's Un, Poco, Moss. Appreciate you all. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. Definitely don't dream about me. You sickies. Peace, guys. I'm out.